Hi, this is Major Gauravari and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like, subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chanakya Dialogues English. There was an article that I read in the Chanakya Forum. And now that article spoke about how Beijing's Winter Olympics of 2022 were not just about sport. They were about geopolitics, they were about diplomacy. And this got me thinking. I got in touch with the author of the article. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my proud privilege to present to you Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, former GOC 14 Corps. And we are going to talk to him about this article of his that he's written for Chanakya Forum. And what does he mean when he says that the Chinese Olympics, the Winter Olympics of 2022, are more than just about sports? It's a very interesting topic. So, Jai Hind and a very warm welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for calling me.
Sir, sir, you wrote this article, sir. You said that, you've written many things and you said that this is initially when they had the Olympics in China, you said it's coming of age of the Chinese nation. And now this is further power projection. What did you mean exactly, sir, with this article?
So I draw from 2008 when he did the first Beijing Olympics. And he spent a whole lot of money, over $40 billion. And he made such fine stadiums. He was here, the opening ceremony was worth, previous three Olympics put together did not have that kind of opening ceremony which was seen in 2008. So was it only about sports? It was about sports, but it was about him announcing, Chinese announcing, we have arrived. It is, it is his issue of telling people that, okay, we have beyond the comprehensive national power, this is also our power of conducting such a large event and getting on with it. So that soft power that he showed and he gained in 2008, it cumulated with the, the failure of the world financial system at the same time.
Sure. And
that propelled him. It took off. China took off in 2008 post the Beijing Olympics, not by the sports alone,
sure,
and not by the finance, but all cumulated together. And there he has reached. He had $4.5 trillion economy that time. He is now running to $16 trillion economy in 12 years. There is a change. It is. I'm convinced about it that this sport event also, which is going to happen in next year, is all about geopolitics, about China telling the world that we have arrived at a stage and we will dictate terms to the world. That's the motive of my writing that essay.
So you're saying that, sir, it's also about soft power somewhere?
Yes.
Because Chinese are not typically known for soft power. So apart from the food and apart from kung fu and other things, they're not generally known for soft power.
So Gaurav, you draw back to 2014 when President Xi Jinping made a statement.
Sure.
He said China has to work to inculcate soft power where we lack. There is a debate here. Have they got soft power after these all 100-odd countries they are making infrastructure and all? Are people in love with China, Chinese civilization, Chinese way of functioning? That is an issue that needs a debate. And there is where I say that despite the power, comprehensive national power, China has not achieved soft power as a status in the world affairs.
Very interesting you say that. Is it loved?
Yeah.
Is it loved? That's also a very, very strong angle. Like, for example, India exports yoga. Yeah. India doesn't have to build infrastructure in 100 countries to be loved. India is already loved. Bollywood has its own fan club everywhere, the yoga and everything else, our culture, our music, our food. But at the same time, sir, I think what China has also done, and this is my next question to you, by pumping in funds, billions upon billions of dollars, which it's anyway doing for this 2022 Winter Olympics, what does China hope to achieve? That was coming of age. 2014 was when Xi Jinping made that comment. So 2008 was the Chinese coming of age. What is 2022 about?
So, look, if he has signed, I again take a step away from here. all these contracts he signed for BRI, where he's making, in Europe, 10% of the container trade is handled by China today. He's got large number of ports it nearly owns in. So when you say what is he doing, he is making contracts with countries, and contracts are not being declassified. We do not know what does the contract with on Hanbantota say.
Sure.
We heard it later.
Yes, sir.
There is one contract which is by mistake leaked out of Cameroon in Africa, where you start reading into the contract in lines, he says that escrow accounts will be opened and China will have the right to draw all the money out first in case there is a systemic failure in the project. So while doing all this, he is tying these countries so badly that he is not endearing himself to those countries. So he has to find other methodology of showing power. This games, it's first time one city has got games again. When 2015 the games were announced, the only competitor Beijing had was Almaty in Kazakhstan. And China is not a winter sporting nation.
Sure.
Last games they came 16th. They don't have much winter sports type infrastructure. Let's see what they do now. But they are not winter sports type of a nation. So when they took it, people criticized, they have human rights records problem. Why are you giving it to China? In 2015 it happened. But they said, no, we will do, and they forced it down, and Almaty was not much of a competition to them. And they now spent $4 billion to make the stadium again, including fake snow. Mounds and mounds of fake snow is being produced. So it is just to tell the world that we have the capacity to even produce the snow where snow doesn't exist and conduct skating and what you name it, whatever is possible in that level. So the capabilities that they are showing is to tell the world, yes, we have the capabilities and we have the desire to do what we want to achieve it. This is measure of their soft power. Soft power, Nestle is soft power.
Sure.
Citibank is soft power.
Yes.
So they are having their soft power. The games is a soft power.
Sure.
So it is just part of power politics of conduct of games.
So before I come to the human rights and all the situation in Xinjiang province against the Uyghur Muslims, etc., I'd like to take a step back and talk about Afghanistan a little bit. Now, India has been investing in Afghanistan. You said something very important in your previous answer. You said that this has not endeared the Chinese to the people because it's very predatory. So it's like a predator going in for the kill. Whereas Hanbantota or even Cameroon, so even Pakistan, so they've gobbled up half of Pakistan. So,
Yeah.
so there is a certain Chinese ethos of doing business. Now, look at the way India has sort of invested in Afghanistan. So we built their parliament, etc. But you don't hear of Indian contracts saying we'll take your land, hum aapki zameen le lenge, we'll grab your land for next 99 years. This part of Afghanistan belongs to India. It's not like that with us. So where do you see the difference? Do you think this is a difference that people at least appreciate?
So if I'm building a house, Gaurav,
Sir.
I and you
Sir.
make a contract and I publicize it. Everybody knows my contract says this much of expenditure, this is the money you give, this is money I give, money will be kept in an account, it will be spent like this, and you finally sort out the profits. India does a parliamentary building, everything was on open book. Everybody knew it. If you made a school, a children's school or children's hospital, it was open book. There was nothing hidden. But wherever China is invested in all these countries, it is all conjecturing in our mind as to the typology of contracts that have gone. Even the recipient countries are not telling us or telling the world what is the type of contracts China are getting into us. So, and why are they not saying? Because the contracts are so tough. There are two banks, the two Chinese banks,
yes,
which are largely investing. They are not telling anybody because they are worried that their own public will feel bad that you are mortgaging us by saying that Chinese have the first right to draw all money out in case there is a fault into the whole system. So they are tying us, they're tying the world down. That makes it that they're getting the work done and the nations want the work to be done. But let's be clear, it is not endearment. They are scared. They want it, but they are worried if this doesn't go through, what will happen? Then the public will come up and say, why didn't you tell us that this contract was tying us so badly in this game? That is the issue.
So there were cases in Myanmar where Chinese factories were burnt also very recently, and backlash from the people because they see Chinese as predators, not as people who are friends,
True.
and not as people who would like to sort of helped, sir. So my next question is about what is happening in Xinjiang. All of us know that more than 1 million. Some estimates say 1.5 million. We'll go with 1 million, sir, because that is the public information available. 1 million Uyghur Muslims are in jail for the crime of being Muslim. So there are re-education camps, etc. Now it's not just the Olympics that is happening. So that is one piece. A lot of countries have now started saying that we are shifting manufacturing, which was China's prowess. China's power comes from manufacturing, sir. So we're shifting manufacturing out of China, we're shifting it to Malaysia, to Philippines, to India, to other. Japan has already started the process of shifting, sir. How do you see this hitting China? Because this is hitting China where it hurts. It might be a trickle right now, sir. I'm not saying that the entire manufacturing is moved out of China, because that's never going to happen. China still remains a very lucrative destination for contract manufacturing. But overall, in the long term, where do you see this going, sir? Because Apple has started moving its production lines to India, sir, Foxconn, and Honhai Precision Industries, sir. Also, Samsung, which was earlier in China, has the largest mobile manufacturing factory in India. Tesla is coming to India, and all these companies are slowly making their presence felt in India, the Philippines, and other places. How does this impact China long term?
Okay, two separate issues. You rightly use the word predatory economic practices that they do, and that they are doing it. But personally speaking, Gaurav, I am not very convinced that the global supply chains, the value chains will be able to de-link from the Chinese. China was a manufacturing economy, an export-oriented economy. But I think in the course of last 5 to 10 years, they have assiduously worked to come into a innovative bracket. So they are becoming an innovative economy, and that's a dramatic shift. They are not reaching the innovative economy level which the United States has got, but they are the second nation towards that end. So a future, and in many areas, especially say 5G. Now the Americans have not reached the 5G of Huawei as yet, but Huawei is a level, and they are talking now what after 5G. So there is a little innovation which has happened in the economy. Second issue in there is that if a cell phone, the cameras are built in Japan,
Sure.
say, and the chip is made in Taiwan, and the body and the other paraphernalia is made in say Chengdu. Now, to de-link all these three, and you to shift either if the chip manufacturing or the camera manufacturing or all that is not very easy. And even the Americans understand, and other countries understand, it's very difficult to now uplift all organizations. You can establish a new factory, but you still have to source items from China. Even India, we have 8 months we have worked, so we did a TikTok, okay, many other sites, but we also will be cleared by now that there are large number of issues you just cannot de-link from manufacturing being carried out into China. So the economics de-linking and decoupling, if it takes place, personally my view is it is going to take a long time. It's not a short-term proposition.
Decades.
Decades, I know, and it requires immense amount of investment. It would also involve us to get focused about it. Okay, we ought to start the chip manufacturing and many other things in India. It's, I think, computers. See, hardware. Even today we buy hardware, where you buy computers. Even, at one time, believe me, we were buying winter clothing for 14 core. Winter clothing were coming from China. Even if you contracted it to a European nation, the European nation subcontracts to China, it finally comes from China. So the chains are so intricately done, it's very difficult to de-link. So that's one part. The second is this human rights issues. See, Tibet we have been knowing, Xinjiang has come to light in the course of last a decade or so. Now, he has peripheral regions, these three of them, which are so-called autonomous regions, that is Tibet, Xinjiang, and Inner Mongolia, which those people call Southern Mongolia.
Sure.
Mongolians call Southern Mongolia, which they occupied it and they're not vacating it. These are restive regions, and they are at a flank. And his eastern seaboard is largely saturated also. So he needs to move his eastern seaboard outside to hinterland. So the restiveness hurts. He has to control it. So whether he does it by so-called vocational training of people in Xinjiang, vocational is garb of putting people down, and of course Hanazation that he's been carried out those. The world has got wiser because they are now groups of people belonging to Xinjiang origin based in Western countries who are making the right noise, and they are being heard. All these while we're not being heard, despite the fact that this is East Turkestan of earlier times. They are the Turkish origin people, or language is Turkish origin, but it was not publicized till the time the world heard from citizens of their own country belonging to that region. Like we hear Baltistan, we have, in the Siachen area, there are 10 odd villages which are Balti speaking. So when you hear those people, and sometimes you hear on YouTube or you hear on podcasts, so there's girls and boys who are talking Balti language and Balti food, and then we hear from other side. This is a method of doing it. So now our people are also telling us what is happening. Sangha is sharing speaks from United States about Baltistan.
Yes, sir.
There are voices being heard. Now Xinjiang has got a voice outside. That's why I say in last 10 days, they hurried and put across a team of diplomats and sent him to Xinjiang. And this Pakistani gentleman who went there said, no, all is hunky-dory, it's a very good thing, and people are very happy, and I went to people's houses and they're thrilled. This is all showmanship, which actually doesn't affect the world. The world understands what's happening out there.
Sir, I'll go back to Xinjiang and the human rights issue as my last question. My second last question to you is, after this coronavirus pandemic outbreak happened, sir, the Chinese position took a battering in the eyes of the world, and then this was further the problems became more intense because of this vaccination drive. They did not allow the WHO to go there and actually investigate into the circumstances. We're talking about soft power, sir. We're talking about Beijing Olympics, 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, sir. That is one piece, sir. Projection of Chinese soft power. Hard power is different, economic power is different, but this is soft power. Now, did Chinese soft power take a hit because of the coronavirus and the Chinese reaction to this, sir?
Okay, if you say they did try to obfuscate the facts. They tried to hide the facts for quite some time. It was hidden initially and subsequently came to light. And after a year plus, WHO team has gone there and not found anything worthwhile. So while the world is convinced, of course it started from Wuhan, there's no doubt. We used to see in November of 2019, November, December, people were dying and collapsing in Wuhan. So we know it started that area. Whether it has started from that seafood market or started from that biological chemical factory, which is right next to the seafood market, immaterial. It started from there. Sure. They ought to know it. The gentleman who made a noise, Dr. Lee, he died away in 1st of February last year. So we can't even now start off as to how things have happened. Whether they took a hit. Now, whether supply of the PPE kits and the masks that they did worldwide, or the so-called this vaccine diplomacy, they have supplied to a large number of nations. They have supplied to a large number of nations free, and they have also, the figure is 28 odd countries paid for it also, for the vaccine that they produced. So they globally they are some big suppliers of medicine. So whether it is free or it is being paid for or concessional rate, this is what they are wanting to achieve it. In the heart of people, will people forget that this started at Wuhan and it did not spread to Beijing or didn't spread to Shanghai or Fujian or Hong Kong or Guangzhou or Chengdu? Why didn't it go anywhere else? It happens to India, this UK variant, and entire nation has got, now we're talking about double variants, etc., in India. But it did not happen there. But it traveled from Wuhan to Italy, because Milan has got those fashion links,
yes,
links with that. So it traveled to Italy, it traveled to the United States, it traveled worldwide. But it did not travel to Beijing. Yeah? There is something not right.
Yes, sir.
Why? China has got 1.4 billion people. It needs to be stated as to how, you say box the whole country, whole city of Wuhan. Wuhan is a city next to a major river. Sure. They boxed the city and they allowed it to be taken outside, but not within their country. Not right. People say whether you can forget in history 100 years ago that virus 1919 and 1920 virus, people still say Spanish virus.
Yes, sir.
You don't forget Spanish virus.
Yes,
people don't forget the word Spanish virus. Yes. You think after 100 years, people will forget these millions who have died saying it is not a China, you can say President Trump saying China virus, you didn't like it. But the fact of the matter is,
It is the Chinese virus, sir.
it is the Chinese virus. Sir. It is started from Wuhan. You clarified. You said these sports, military sport games were held, and America. All this is not possible, and everybody knows not possible. Question is we're not able to find out. The WHO can't find out. Hearts know, yeah. We know. People know, worldwide know. It started from China. Let's not forget it. So, you think that it helps out getting soft power? I think there will be a problem here.
There will be a problem, sir. My last question to you is about the human rights issue of China and the silence of course, Pakistan, sir, because Imran Khan is on record saying that I don't know what is happening in Xinjiang. Obviously, Imran Khan doesn't know. He's getting all his money from there. So, but the question to you, sir, do you think you're saying that there are independent voices out of Xinjiang which are now in Western countries, Europe, America? Do you think it's going to make a difference to the supply chains, to the reputation of China? Because some companies have taken action, some companies with stated policies on child labor, prison populations being made to work in Chinese sweatshops where conditions are horrendous. So they work for 18, 20 hours a day. They're beaten, they're tortured, and they work like that. Do you think that the world, like Quad, has come together as one body, sir? For a different purpose, though, for a different purpose. Yeah. But do you think or do you feel that the Western world, including India, as part of that group, will say that, okay, this thing also needs to be addressed. You can't have trade with a country with massive human rights violations, while it might take decades to build that entire supply chain outside China. I accept that, sir, because what you're saying is very logical. But at the same time, do you think there is going to be some step forward in this and people starting to sort of point out that this is not acceptable?
Finally, we come back to the bottom line. Every nation works on its own national interests. And they start studying what will be beneficial to our own nation. To ask your question simply, they may boycott the games. There may be people, if they're invited for the centenary celebrations in July, they may not want to go there. And they may immense amount of noise, something, Human Rights Council. China's got membership in every UN council nowadays at Apex. So, but to say that a country which is now subsisting on basis of selling of large raw material to China and then buying the finished good, like East India Company.
It's like East India Company, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
So you think that nation will say, "हमसे ये मत लो आप." You don't. हमसे मत लो ये, हम नहीं देंगे iron ore आपको. But तो आपका iron ore कौन लेगा? The Australians have felt this, that barley, beer. Is used for beer. 50%, large quantity of barley was going from Australia to China, or wines, okay, Australian wines going to China. If you say, because Xinjiang has got a big problem, they've got human rights issues and we will not supply barley. No, it won't happen like this. Every nation works on its own national interests, and in showing national interests, economy is stupid, as Kilton said.
Yes, sir.
That's the way it is. You have to get on with it, to make noise, make maximum noise, and you try to coerce people, and then they say, one day somebody will say, okay, China has responded favorably, and they've opened out Xinjiang, and all these things are happening. But on matters of economical, second largest economy in the world, you just cannot push it away. It cannot be forgotten. It is part of a system. It is entrenched itself. That's why all the aggression is coming. That's why the belligerence is coming. That's why the revanchist policies have come in. Why? Because they have reached a stage where they can get away with it. And they're convinced they'll get away with it.
Sure.
That's the way it is.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for talking to us, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, with Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, and he talks about how the Winter Olympics in Beijing 2022 are more than just about sport. They are about projection of China as a nation that has arrived on the world map, a nation that is keen and eager to push forward its soft image. The general also spoke about Chinese investments and how they are predatory in nature. He also spoke about how global supply chains work and what will happen in the future. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next week with another special guest. Till then, from my team and I at the Chanakya Dialogues English, Jai Hind.